You got to get to the point where you say, this is not who I am anymore. Where you say, this is not how I'm going to live anymore. This is not the way I'm doing things anymore. Because that's when you really change your identity. That's when you really lock in the habit. That's when you really move towards the version that you know you can be. And you don't need another plan. You don't need another strategy or whatever. You already know what you need to do. But it's about knowing. Knowing is one thing, but it's about doing what you know. It's about acting on your highest knowing in the moment. When you ask yourself, how would my highest self act in this moment? And you act on that, that's when you're aligned with the version of you who's living that reality. And when you stay in alignment with the version, you're going to have it. And when you come to the point where you say, this is not how I'm doing things anymore, this is not who I am anymore, with those old habits or those old versions of you that keep on holding you back, then you've outgrown the habit. Then you've outgrown that old story. And that's what it's about. You don't kick a habit away. You don't kick your old identity away. You don't kill your old self. You outgrow it. And when you outgrow it, that's when you naturally embody the version who you are. And that's what it's about. But that's why it's so important to lock in that new identity, to be aware of who you want to be. And when the excitement of becoming who you want to be is bigger than the comfort of where you are right now, that's when the change happens. That's when you keep on staying on the track no matter how you feel, no matter what obstacles come your way. You say, this is not who I am anymore. I'm not the person anymore who quits. I'm not the person anymore who ghosts. I'm not the person anymore who smokes weed and just is dull all the time and doesn't care about life and just feels empty all the time and tries to suppress his emotions. I'm not that person anymore, you know? When you come to that point, it doesn't matter what happens. You're gonna get to where you want to be, and you're gonna become the person that you want to be, and you're gonna lock in those new habits. You're gonna lock in that new story that you've created for yourself, and it's gonna happen. But you have to get real with yourself, and you have to get to the point where you say, "This is not who I am anymore." And it's a process. It's also normal to fall back when you want to change something. For example, um, I think 5, 6 years ago, I struggled with weed. You know, like I struggled to let go of it. I thought like I enjoyed it sometimes, and it was something that I did with friends. In the beginning, it was helpful, like especially with music, it expanded my creativity and everything. But then there came this point where I felt like it controls me, and then I stopped. Every time I stopped, I felt like I'm still gonna fall back. You know, when I started again, I was already thinking of stopping. I was like, man, I'm not supposed to do this. I know because I felt better without it after a while, you know. But then there came this point where I just looked myself into the mirror and said, after smoking, I felt like I told myself, this is not who I am anymore. This is not how I want to feel anymore. This is it served me for a period of my time. It served me on my journey. But this is not who I am anymore, you know? And even if I did it, a year or 2 years later on, I didn't have that attachment anymore. So I did it like once or twice per year after that. Compared to that, I did it like every day almost, you know. But in that moment, I looked into the mirror and said, "This is not who I am anymore. This is not how I want to feel anymore." That's when I lost the detachment, and that's when I didn't feel like it has control over me. And that's another part as well. When you can do something, but in the next day you stop because it doesn't have attachment over you. That's when you know you mastered yourself. But you have to get to the point where you say, this is not how I want to live anymore, you know? And at some point, you're even going to outgrow it entirely because you just have no desire for it whatsoever anymore. If you've been, it's like when you eat like when you ate a certain way back then, you ate all of those junk food, McDonald's and all of that. But all of a sudden you gained this awareness that this is actually not good for your body, and you started eating healthy, and you started doing that for years. In the beginning you went back to it. Sometimes your friends ate McDonald's, you know, you've been there with them, and you wanted to eat it again because you've been tempted. But at some time, after a while, you outgrow it, and probably after years you don't even want to go back. Like for me personally, I haven't eaten McDonald's in like, I don't know, 10 years or something, simply because I don't have any desire for that anymore, because that's not who I am anymore. I'm not the person who eats that anymore, you know? And even if I would eat it today, I wouldn't be attached to that. And it's a process. Like that hasn't been a big challenge for me, to be honest with you. But it has been habitual back then. But I've outgrown it naturally. But if you want to outgrow something, you have to make sure that you create something that's bigger than yourself, that bigger than the version that you are right now, and align yourself with those actions gradually. And if you fall back, you just gotta readjust. You don't blame yourself, you don't judge yourself. You get up again and say, okay, I messed up, but let me get on the track. Let me get back on track. Let me get on this again. Let me act like this again. Let me be that version now again. Because you can change in any moment. You can. You might have thought different thoughts a moment ago before you started this video, and now you feel differently or think differently simply after consuming this, simply after listening to what I've said. And that's because every moment you can choose to you use different thoughts, or you can choose to think differently. You can choose to watch something different. You can choose to watch something different. You can choose to consume something different. You can choose to create something different, because in reality we all are creators of our reality, and we create it in each and every moment. And when you say, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, and this is how I get there, that's when you create a new reality. That's when you create a new identity, and then the old identity naturally falls away. So ask yourself, get real with yourself, and ask yourself who you are not anymore and what's not serving you anymore. What needs to, what do you need to let go of that's no longer aligned with the timeline that you're stepping in right now? Because you have the power to let it go. And deep down, you already know what you need to let go of. But it's just a matter of being real and honest with yourself, and then stepping on a journey of outgrowing it. And if you keep on staying aligned with that version that you want to be, it's going to happen, no doubt. You got this, we got this. Everyone has the power, because we all connected to a source that's infinite and always here for us. And if you connect to that source, and if you ask yourself, how would that source think? How would that higher version of me think and act? And what does this version of me create in this lifetime? And you align yourself with that mission, you are on purpose. And when you're on purpose, good things start to happen, and you become who you meant to be. And that's what it's ultimately about: acting on your calling, acting on your purpose. And that purpose can be multiple things. You don't just have one purpose, but you have to find out for yourself what's what's important to you, what matters to you, and what you want to do with the life that you have right now. Because in this body, in this lifetime, the way you experience it now, you only have it once. And that's so precious. It's a gift. And we got to make use of that. A lot of times we forget it, but it's important to ground ourselves in the moment and to constantly remind ourselves of who we want to be. Also, a great question to ask yourself every day: who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? Because that question redirect your focus on what you want to do. So I hope this was helpful. Remind yourself, you have to get to the point where you say, this is not who I am anymore. And where you say, this is who I am now, and this is what I'm doing. And that's when you stay in alignment with that, you're going to change it. You're going to get rid of those habits that have been draining you. You're going to get rid of whatever's been in the way. And you're going to find a way to get what you will find a way to get over whatever is coming your way or whatever is in the way, because you have the power to do that. So I hope this was helpful. If you want to go deeper, I've created something called Energy Reset with free practices that help me enormously along my journey. You can get it for free in the link in the bio and in the link in the description. And I thank you for your time. I thank you for listening. I am Law Aru, and this is the Way of Law. One love.